Greetings and welcome to Leagues Ahead, the vodcast of the Arena Gauntlet League, where we happily look forward to fresh tournament offerings. We explore the mechanics that we'll be playing with for the next, in this case, 3 weeks for our accelerated league in June. And I'm your host, Christopher York, founder of the AGL and host of Leagues Ahead. And I have a very special guest today, a man who needs very little introduction because he's all over the server, all over our media for this week. It's Johnny Mariani. Hello, Johnny.
Hey Chris, how you doing?
I'm all right. Now, Johnny, if you don't know, was one of our first members of the league committee when we got big enough to actually care about enforcing rules and making things official. So he's had some experience in this world before. And I think he put in maybe 3 hot years or 4 hot years of online league committee service before going into what we now know is a sort of fake retirement. It's a bit like the Undertaker meme where he rises back up again and grabs the other wrestler by the neck.
Yeah, wrestlers never really retire. They always have one last comeback match and then another one after that.
That's right.
So we'll see. Came back for this league, and
Yeah.
maybe there's another one in me down the road somewhere.
Yeah, so we're very happy to be talking about the Build a Set League, which comes to us directly from the suggestion box and the mind of Johnny. Can you tell us a little bit about what inspired this league design and what made you choose this as your time to strike?
Yeah, so I think the idea of what if we played a league with our own custom set has been floating around for a while,
Yeah,
in different forms.
for years, right?
You know, yeah. I think maybe I suggested it back after the first Jumpstart came to Arena and infused a ton of cards into the client, and I made my own set, of only cards that weren't in regular booster packs. But that didn't quite go anywhere. Recently you've been talking about what if we did a power cube type league,
Yep.
and so I was kind of put that whole idea back to the forefront of a league with our own cards. And cube specifically, I don't think quite fits the league model that well. Just the way packs work and punishment packs and deck growth. Um, but
And wild cards
it,
too, we should say.
yeah, definitely wild cards for you're talking about, power cube. It's a lot of mythics and a lot of rares and a lot of supplemental sets and things people haven't collected. So that idea was kind of brought back to the forefront, and we were looking for, or you guys were looking for a 3 week league. Needed ideas, needed something that was just ready to go. Didn't need too much finessing as a rule set, and I put that one out there. Now's a chance. Let's make our own set,
Yeah.
and I guess I got some traction. Definitely, compared to in the past, the arena card pool is huge these days. It's really come along a lot compared to 1 year ago or to 2 years ago, with all the cool cards they infused for the arena power cube, all the bonus sheets and supplementary like avatar sets,
Yeah.
and the pizza sheet and Ninja Turtles and Mystical Archive. All that stuff is just giving us more and more great classic cards to work with.
Yeah, I mean, cynically, of course, it's Wizards trying to burn up wild cards, but non-cynically, it's a great opportunity for us to, you know, claim some of that online real estate and turn them into sort of playable cards instead of just things that you craft and you play with a couple times and forget. But in this league, you get to play with them for 3 weeks, so I'm thinking that this is going to be a pretty wild experience for everyone who's taken part. But just so we get everybody on board, those who don't know, the Build a Set League is a league wherein we basically follow Mark Rosewater's design skeleton for what makes a good Magic set good. And then Johnny has taken on the monumental, massive, mammoth task of arranging all of the suggestions that people made for cards to be included, attached to that skeleton, and for all the voting that took place to decide which card would fit which part of the design skeleton. So, having recently done my own little side event, York's Hundreds, just getting 16 people together to submit, 3 Jumpstart packs was pretty challenging. Took a while to chase everybody down and make sure everything's in the right format. So this is, it's miles above that in terms of complexity. So kudos to you, Johnny, for jumping in and putting your shoulder to the wheel, Conan style, and just turning it, just making it all happen.
Sure, yeah. It's one of those things where I was excited about the idea,
Yeah,
and one thing leads to the next thing, and leads to the next thing, and I already got this part set up and that part set up, and here's this idea, here's that idea, and it's going. And it's been a lot. We're near the finish line for the design of the league.
yep.
And we'll get to sit back for 3 weeks and enjoy the fruit of our labors.
The LC's never had it so good, really. And it's not a very difficult set tech wise either, right? To implement. Cube Cobra attached to Booster Tutor, and then we're off, pretty much.
Yeah, it's something that we've done a few times before in different situations. So pretty easy in that regard, and I'm glad that we have something to give you guys a bit of a break. I'm sure something's being cooked up for Marvel superheroes, and let you guys focus on that. This league is there's a lot of stuff going on now, but once Friday rolls around and the league actually kicks off,
Right.
it's the most vanilla league we've had in 3 years.
Well, Evan will be happy. He's been pining for a vanilla league, right? All the complexities up front in the building of the set, and then you just have to sit back and enjoy the fruits of everyone's labors, but really just Johnny's in this case. Voting's pretty easy compared to what you're doing.
Oh no, it's everyone is contributing in all kinds of ways, right? There's people who are researching cards to nominate. There's people who are campaigning for certain cards and archetypes and looking at the balance of the set.
Yeah.
And Adam's doing a ton to promote it. And this is I'm doing a lot of the administration, doing a lot of the leading and guiding, but I hope at the end that everyone feels like this is their set, and everyone's vote counts the same. Everyone got to pick 3 cards equally, and it's going to be the result of 100 people's 110, 111 at last count, I think.
Which makes it, if not the first, then at least the second biggest accelerated league that we've ever run. I got to look at the numbers at Caleb's Ravnica Adventure. I think it was sitting around 120. Registration's not closed as we speak, so you could still get over that record and make this the most highly played accelerated league to date. And I gotta say, there's something special about the feeling of this league. It's almost like as soon as people heard the idea, they jumped on board. And I don't think anyone has said, oh, this is bad for pump the brakes. Everybody who heard about it seemed like they were immediately on board and excited by the idea. And maybe that's because it's an idea whose time has come, possibly because this idea about building a league as a community or building a set as a community has been in the water for so long that people have a hunger for it. Or it could be, like you say, that the cards on Arena have finally reached that critical mass where it's an interesting project to try to take on. But yeah, it's just a hugely, let's say there's lots of community engagement and the league hasn't even started yet, right?
Yeah, and I think 3-week leagues have kind of been tagged for the time to get a little more experimental.
Right.
And this is, totally unique space for a league. Totally experimental. It's not just new for us, but I doubt anyone in the world has ever tried to design a Magic set with 100 people putting input. There's not even that many people at Wizards of the Coast R&D. I've seen a lot of custom sets that people have worked on. We have some people who've done that involved here, but that's usually a one-person project, maybe a small group of people. I think it's really a really interesting, and it's been a really fun and unique experiment.
Yeah, and it is not just an experiment. It's something that you've put into practice now. You ran a side quest yesterday and are running another one today. The first one was so successful that I think it set the record for the most streams in one chat room. Something like more than 8 or more screens up streaming at the same time. Really, really special event. Not only for the reason that it was so well attended and well streamed, but I think for the reason that the set did not disappoint. It seemed deep. It seemed really playable. I stayed for a couple of matches that I had to tune out to get over my jet lag. I'm just back from Europe now. So, but from what I saw, I'm excited to play with these cards. And I got to see some of the cards I put in the bonus sheet. I got to see Remand floating around, and I think that there's something about having a little bit of ownership. Like everybody gets a little fingerprint on the set, and I think that makes it kind of special to play with and exciting to play with. But I'm happy to report that it looks like all the cards working together in tandem also is fun and interesting and thick enough that it's going to probably be an unsolved puzzle for the 3 weeks that we're able to work with it.
Hopefully. I think a key part of the success of the project is for the set to be fun, for it to be interesting, for it to last up to 15 matches of sealed per person, and for it to be something that we want to play in the future, whether it's side event drafts, or I'm sure we'll do a roto of it at some point. And it's something people are actually excited to play. And so far, to add to the record last night, I think it was the most punctual event has ever. It was set for 8 o'clock, and at 8 o'clock, everyone was in the draft lobby, everyone was in the voice chat, ready to go. For some reason, we didn't have to chase anyone down, no one forgot, no one was like, I don't know, I won't play tonight. We were there, and at 8 o'clock was good, which was astonishing, and I think says something about how people feel.
Yeah. So that brings me to some questions. Do you see this project as having some sort of future ramifications for other leagues, or do you see it sort of being a pool that we return to for side quests, or like what do you think, like given the runaway enthusiasm for this project, for this league, do you think that you'll run it back someday, or is it too soon to sort of contemplate these things?
I saw someone, I forget who, commented like, well, it's a good experiment. It's the first time we do it.
Right.
Learning experience. Like, well, it's probably the first and the last time we do it this big, right? Like, it's a big project. I don't know that anyone's gonna say, let's do this again.
Right.
But I hope that the set ends up being part of league lore, part of the texture of league, and that gets played here and there, whether it's a miscellaneous draft that people organize, or used down the road and during the year, or maybe it's used in another set as like one of the packs you can open, under some condition.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully people enjoy this set enough, and it's robust enough that we do want to return to it and use it again, and not just at the end of the 3 weeks say, "Oh, glad we're through that." Let's move on.
Like Spider-Man or something.
But so far after the first, I've played 3 rounds of the set, it kind of felt like a master set.
Right.
In that, the cards don't look like they belong together. There's all kinds of stuff going on, but then you kind of start to see the patterns, and because we have a set structure with commons and uncommons, you start to see the same cards over again. Okay, I'm starting to put this together and see connections, and then the gameplay was had some really neat novel interactions, the type of stuff that you might not always see in a regular set.
Yeah, can you talk us through? I mean, I tend to fly pretty high in theory land. For those people who appreciate granularity, do you want to break down any particularly interesting plays that you saw, or any cards that surprised that you sort of underrated, and then you saw them come out of people's hands and just clock the opponent?
So for me, I had Glorybringer in my deck, which is a 4/4 flying haste dragon. When attacked, you can exert it and deal 4 to a creature. And exerting against great, but you tap it down for a turn, and you can't use it again. So in my deck, I would attack, exert it, kill my opponent's thing, and then ninjutsu it back to hand with Ninja the Deep Hours. From the Kamigawa block, draw a card, hurting my opponent because I was unblocked because I killed their thing and attacked the flyer, and then I could recast the Glorybringer.
Right.
It's untapping block for me, which is good because I'm playing this value game, and then next turn it's ready to attack and exert again, killing something else, probably clearing the way now for the ninja to get through again.
That's
right. And I've seen a lot of Glorybringers. I've never seen one ninjutsu before.
Right.
Something else I saw which I thought was really neat was one player had an army of rabbit tokens from Bloomburrow. Then they had a wedding announcement, which after a few turns you flip it over and it gives all your creatures +1/+1. It turns into an anthem.
Yeah.
And the opponent cast Flicker Wisp, which exiles a permanent temporarily. And there you might say, well, I'll just kill a token, whatever.
Sure.
But, because all Flicker cards flicker a creature. Flicker Wisp in particular does any permanent, and not just yours, your opponent's also. So he flickered the wedding announcement.
And depowered all the
creatures.
Leaves
the battlefield.
Yeah.
It comes back. It goes back to his front face. And so all those creatures, lost the anthem. And so this Flicker Wisp, took off 5 power and 5 toughness total from the board. And then, and that flips the game around. And, that's a fun interaction, never seen heads up play, to see that you can do that, to think about that. And, those are just a couple examples of cards that you wouldn't normally see interact and coexist.
Right. And this is something that, I personally have wanted for a very long time. As I've wanted there to be a sort of AGL Masters set where we take all the cards that are legal on Arena that have sort of been used in a Master set and have something like this where we filter them into packs. I'm still trying to find a way to make it happen. But, ideas have a way of sort of like percolating for years and then sort of popping up in some form. I wanted to do Jumpstart so badly that I ran my own side quest just to get it out of my system so I can stop talking about it. So maybe one day we'll get down to that Masters set as well. But for the time being, I saw both of those plays that you're talking about in the Build-A-Set matches. I think that the Glorybringer match that I saw, you won in the third game when you were both at 1 life each.
I think it was the third game I lost it.
Oh, was that game 2 then?
Game 2 or game 1, yeah.
Yeah, I remember it coming down very close, and Glorybringer snuck out for the win.
I actually pulled off that play in every single match, so a lot of people see it. It was really once I did it the first time, I'm like, oh, I gotta do this some more. This feels good.
Yeah. So, I mean, given that we can't, this isn't leagues ahead, we can't talk about leagues in the distant future, but I know that a lot of people are frustrated with play boosters. They're frustrated with you know um, Magic as it's served to us by Wizards of the Coast, and are looking to make these custom experiences reflect the kind of games they want to play. I think that before we start, eating Marvel superheroes set with both hands, I think that this is exactly the kind of appetizer that will delight hardcore Magic fans. Um, Given that,
Uh,
oh, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, and like this is kind of an extension of the growth in Cube in the last few years. Cube's a format that's got a lot more popular in the last 5 years, and I think that's largely because people being dissatisfied
Right.
with retail Magic, and also like we have all these tools. There's 30,000 cards in existence. We couldn't put these together in our own ways, and so this is that idea of let's make our own Magic the way we want it.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It feels like, I think that a lot of people, myself included, we get a little frustrated with having to sort of march in lockstep with WotC's release schedule, right? And I guess if you want to put this in sort of familiar terms, that's the pop music of Magic. And this feels a little bit more like punk rock. This feels more like something, homegrown, with authentic feeling and
little DIY,
little DIY. Yeah, exactly.
little rough around the edges.
Little rough around the edges. Yeah. It all kind of strikes me like this is the kind of design that again, if it wasn't for the lackluster card base, it's kind of the early days of AGL. This would have been quite at home there. You could have made this happen with 50 players as well as 100 or 30 players or whatever. The idea, I think, the principles are there. The technology that we have now just makes it easier to execute on, right? I think that back then it was more difficult to figure out how to fit all these little parts of the machine together that we have and make them all work. So I don't know. For me, this is the kind of stuff that League exists for, the AGL exists for, and that we should be doing more often. And if that means like taking the I almost feel like we should be spending 6 weeks on Build a Set and 3 weeks on Marvel superheroes, if it weren't for the fact that everybody wants to play with the new cards, which I get, but at the same time,
Well, let's do the first week of Build a Set before we see how much more we want to do. Times first, before we do the full 6. But and again, maybe this set'll be part of the league, right? And so you could imagine, maybe in the future there's a 3-week league where we say, okay, let's bring that back, and now let's put a more unique rules twist on it.
right.
The work now, let's play it again and have our rules burden be on like the actual weeks of league play, however that is.
Yeah, kind of like they have different versions of the Powered Cube on Arena. You could have different versions of the Build a Set.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Could run it back in a year and just say, okay, we got the base. Now let's spend a week doing a revision, get a version to Build a Set 2027, or it could be something like, or even just using like the infrastructure that we have a little bit for other reasons. You kind of asked about it before, we didn't get to an answer, but this sort of model could be used for a league where it's like, okay, we think of Neon Dynasty League, which had a bonus sheet. It was just one person curating it. Okay, well, what if we do the same thing? We have a bonus sheet and we vote on every card, and we kind of follow the Build a Set model of nominations and voting. And I think that would work great. That's a great way to get people interested in a league, in the weeks leading up to it. And much more democratic than saying, okay, one person came up with this for us, and we all gotta deal with their bad judgment or their personal preferences.
Yeah. I sort of joked that this is everyone's bad judgment, right? Kind of mixed together in a
Yeah,
pot.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that our unique contributions are marked by our identity. So if a card gets out of bounds, you know who to blame. I think that's an interesting aspect of this, right? We have a sort of daily update with who's contributed what cards to the bonus sheet and who's to blame for the game states that are to come. I think that we still have maybe one or two votes left, Johnny, before this league launches well, it doesn't launch, but registration closes on Wednesday. What's left to do?
So right now, there's the last couple of commons are up for vote. I just put up an art poll, which is like inconsequential for the set really and for the gameplay. It's just like some aesthetics, because some people care about that more than
Right.
interactions of cards and that, and so got to throw them a bone of like we got something for you.
Right.
And then I think tomorrow we're going to do an Oracle of the Alpha referendum. And there might be a few other small silly polls, but the Oracle referendum I think is an interesting one.
Yeah.
So far, there's been a couple of alchemy cards nominated. They've got some votes. There's some popularity there, but none of them have made it into the set yet, I believe. Been close though. But Oracle, I think, is a exceptional card. It's a special card,
Right.
and it's if we're gonna put it to everyone, do we want this card or not? Majority wins. It's an alchemy card, which is a very dirty word for some people, but it's also just a super fun card.
It's the only way to get
It's the
powered.
one-
Yeah, it's the only way to get powered cards in our format, right?
Yeah, it's not that strong, but it is very fun for what it is. When it's in Arena Cubes, it's like the most overdrafted card because people just love it so much. It's the one alchemy card that's in the Arena Power Cube where they've set a rule of no alchemy.
Right.
That's the one card that gets through. So we'll see. Maybe it'll make it into build a set as a marquee card.
Yeah, I can't wait till they find a way to code Booster Tutor on Arena. I think that's that's a card that, even though it's an uncard, I would play with that in League. I mean, I would break all my rules. I would all my high and lofty principles, Johnny. I'd sell them right down the river to play with Booster Tutor.
Oh yeah, that's such a fun card. Like all-time classic.
So let me ask you some hard questions now, right? So I realize that this is partly about building your own magic set. It's partly a project in community engagement, which I think it's greatly succeeded in, and it's also partly working with democratic theory and seeing, what are the bounds of democratic engagement. So this is a bit of a representative democracy insofar as you, as our esteemed president for this league, you've basically set the democratic agenda, right? And we vote, but there's limits to what we can vote on, right? There's been some talk of allowing vetoes and reversals and these kinds of things. How deeply committed are you to letting the mob rule and sort of like changing the sacred design skeleton? If people wanted to have, 5 creatures with trample, if they really wanted that and they voted for it, would you let them? If something got through the cracks and was voted in that really you think as a sort of set manager or set designer shouldn't be there, would you promote a veto on the card? Or does the democratic mandate hold sway no matter what? How much of a feeling do you have on this, or how much are you willing to say about it?
Yeah, so I think it's really important that, again, people feel like everyone has an equal say and is equally influencing the set. And so I've tried very much not to do too much of that. And, whether I try to or not, I'm going to have a lot of influence and different ways. It could just be like how some information is presented, right?
Yeah.
It's going to lean towards my bias, right? And then that guides us. So, yeah, in general, trying to respect nominations and votes as they go. But there are rails that we have, and it's important to follow them. So I've been trying to make sure that we're in the rails and try to rule when something is out of bounds, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
But if something's in bounds, to respect it as so. And of course, it's Magic, right? So there's all kinds of exceptions and things that are blurry and gray zones of like what is a cantrip? Well,
right.
People have different opinions. Some people think a cantrip means 1 mana, draw a card. Some people think any amount of mana, as long as it draws a card, it's cantrip. It could be 4 mana, if it draws a card, it's a cantrip. Someone argued, well, Surveil 3 is about draw, it's about equal to draw a card, so this card that surveils is a cantrip.
Right.
People were nominating, well, the first time you cast this card, it draws a card, so it's a cantrip, but then you can cast it again. But no, don't worry about that. It's not a draw 2 spell, it's a cantrip. Right? And it's like the most simple thing, a cantrip. It's a small spell in Magic. But just that, there's differing opinions. In the end, we got Dreams of Laguna as our blue cantrip, and it draws 2 cards. But compared to think twice, to me feels like, no, that's a draw 2 card. You're like just the way it works, the mana cost,
right.
How you're playing with it. Dreams Laguna felt a little more like, you play it for the 1, and then if the second draw happens later, that's its own thing. But very gray zone. Maybe kind of regretting to not have ruled harder against it, because in the end, I feel like we are missing just a 1 mana draw card. And why didn't anyone nominate Brainstorm? Why isn't that in the set instead?
Right. Yeah.
But some of those things is well, once it gets to a certain point, once it's on the poll and people are voting, lay off it. There's some questions about. I think keywords is an issue there, where sometimes we had polls and a certain card got skipped over because another card with a keyword was taken.
Right.
But that was something that was laid out. Hey, this is what we're gonna do. If we're voting on 2 creatures at a time, one of them has to have keywords that match our design skeleton, so that when we get to the end of the process, the set does kind of function like a normal set. Because if you don't do any of that and you just vote on cards 1 at a time, with a lot of people, you easily end up, we have 7 blue flying. All blue creatures are flying.
Right.
And then what does that mean? And that means your gameplay is totally screwed up. And if this was one person doing all the work, once you get to the point where I like this 7th blue creature, I want to put it in. Wait, now I should go back and take out 3 of the earlier ones to get in the right zone.
Right.
But because we're doing such a large process with so many people, that's not really feasible. So we're saying once the card's voted in, it's in. And so once we have 3 flying creatures, our flying quota is filled up. And now we might skip a creature that was popular in the votes, even though it had flying. But I'm trying to make it, it's not like my decision, it's not like me deciding, no, I think that's too much, I don't want it. Really trying to make it, we had a guideline of how we're doing it. It hasn't worked out perfectly, but it's worked out a lot better than if we didn't have the guideline and we just went with the most popular option in each poll each day.
Right. So for those who don't know, how are the bonus sheets cards working? How are they getting filtered into the set? So as I understand it, some of it gets shaken into the main set, and some of them remain in a slot that is the classic sort of Magic bonus sheet existing out on its own. For those who don't know, how do those cards get sorted into pile A or pile B?
Okay, so that's me doing that, kind of deciding that, and that's something I'm doing kind of on my own. It's not a democratic process there.
Right.
But before we started, I wrote a whole bunch of guidelines for myself that are public for people to understand what the thought process is going to be. Now, I wrote them before starting anything. Some things have kind of changed a little bit, or something that I thought would be important isn't as important. But the first thing is we're doing a typical set structure, meaning we have 100 commons, and of those 100 commons, there's going to be 20 gold and 5 colorless and 15 of each color. So maybe we've got 20 blue uncommons submitted. Well, 15 of them are going to count as our uncommons that are going to show up in packs in the uncommon slot at that frequency, but then 5 have to go to the bonus sheet. And the bonus, because what we're doing here is we have a fixed set structure.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how many players we're going to be. We don't know how many people are going to submit cards.
Right.
That's a pretty big variable. And
yeah,
the bonus sheet, the whole concept for the bonus sheet is to sort of absorb that slack. If we're 80 people or if we're 150 people, there's still only going to be 80 commons, and there's still only going to be 80 rares and mythics, and just the bonus sheets are our safety net in a way to absorb the variance.
Right.
And
add some spice, I guess, too, right?
Well, so yeah, definitely add some spice. It's going to introduce a lot of variety. Because at the end of the day, this is a mono set league.
Yes.
Yes. This is what I have to do to get a mono set league final.
You got to build a chaos set to get a mono set league.
Yeah. I don't know when the last time we had a mono set league was, but I'm glad it's here. But as a concession to the people who like a little more spice and variety, there's this bonus sheet that's going to be maybe about 140 cards, 150 cards.
Amazing.
When all said and done. So there will be cards that are going to be unique that you're going to have, your opponents won't. That I don't know. We'll see what happens. There's some combos. There's some classics. There's some squires. The famous card from the Time Spiral bonus sheet.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah. So for the guidelines of what gets on the bonus sheet is uncommons and rares. Focus on those slots, and if it doesn't fit the color balance, if it doesn't fit the mana value, trying to have a distribution of mana values for uncommons.
Right.
And have a normal ratio of creatures and non-creatures, and sometimes 2 people submit cards that are very similar. It's kind of silly to have them both next to each other on the uncommon sheet. So one will be an uncommon, the other one's bonus sheet slot. There's an aesthetic element to it, where when you roll a pack, you're going to see your pack with your lands, your commons, your uncommons, your rare, and your bonus sheet card. And where possible, the bonus sheet card is going to have an art treatment.
Wow.
To look a little fancier, to look like a real booster pack when you get to your Mystical Archive card, and it's this awesome art that doesn't always look like a Magic card.
Right.
We're going to try to do some of that, and sometimes it's a tiebreaker. This card has a cool alt art. Maybe it fits that slot.
Well, yeah, I think as you pointed out, right, this is going to be. It's not just, gosh, what's it comparable to? It's like we're all in the process of building a mansion together in real time, and we have a rough blueprint, but we're also allowed to sort of just paint in the corners anything, or sort of build little knickknacks into the architecture any way we see fit. So the way this is all going to come together, of its very nature, it has to be surprising to everybody who plays. And I hadn't really thought about it before this way, but there have been people like, Evan C., for example, he's calling for return to the Vanilla League. Well, this is the Vanilla League. And there's people like you who say, return to the mono set leagues. This is the mono set league. But ironically, it's mono set, but the set is Mystery Booster, I think. right? It's
Yeah.
something like that. It'll be I think maybe the character of the set will be revealed through play. We don't know yet. It's kind of exciting. We'll explore this
Yeah, and
together.
there's no 17 lands data. There's no limited level up telling you the state of the format.
Right.
You can't get an LSV's take on it. It's gonna be fun. You gotta figure it out on your own. The meta is unknown.
Well, I mean, up to the point where your
Yeah.
packs are rolled, you don't even know what's in the set, right?
Yeah.
So,
There might be a pretty short window between locking in the actual details of the set and rolling packs.
yeah, spoiler season ends 5 minutes before pre-release. You know, deal with it. So yeah, I think this is really exciting, Johnny, and I can't wait to speak with you again on Leagues Behind when a sufficient amount of time has passed between the closing of this event and enough time for some mature opinions and takes on it to arise in you that we can harvest in due course, probably in a year or so. We'll be having this discussion again. Remember, build a set. Um, so yeah, anything else you want to add before we sign off? Because we're coming up to the end of our allotted broadcast time.
Yeah, just important to note again, like I'm doing a lot of the work. I'm making a lot of the posts and coordination, but at the end of the day, like this isn't my set, this isn't my cube. Making my own set of my cube would be a lot easier. And I've done that for sure. This is AGL set, right? This is 100 people's efforts and thoughts and collaboration, and in particular, like just the voting. That comes from Adam. He suggested that, and other people on league committee had input on the design, and even the idea inspired by you kind of trying to push hey, let's do a power cube league
and getting shot down nearly unanimously
yeah,
by the LC.
but that's brainstorming,
Right.
Some ideas lead to other ideas, lead to this, and my first draft was terrible compared to where we ended up. But what we're doing is way better than what I suggested. But that's only because of a bunch of people having input and trying to figure this out together. And yeah,
Well, I think it probably that's down to it being a great community of people that you were instrumental in building, right? That you were an essential ingredient of for many years. So the fact that so many people are sort of paying back the love and are helping sort of lift this idea off the land and push it into the water, it's pretty impressive. This is the feel good league of the year for me anyway.
yeah, for me too. We haven't even started, and we'll see how we'll see how the next couple of weeks go. I'm really excited to play it myself, to see other people play it. I hope people are really excited to play it and share their screenshots and put up their streams. Because again, like no one else in the world is going to be playing the set. This is uncharted territory, and hopefully it resonates throughout the community.
All right, Johnny. Thanks for your time today, and thanks for all your efforts in getting this off the ground again. Like I say, just a few days left now before we get to play the set. Tomorrow, I think we open our goodies and make the final votes, and then Friday we'll be playing our matches, which is yeah. So I'm going to get this out to the people today, just after we hang up. So without further ado, Johnny, it's always been a pleasure to speak with you and to work with you. So take good care, and we'll speak again soon, I am sure.
Thanks, Chris.
All right.
Feelings mutual.
Bye for now.
Peace.